Good morning, everyone. For Telesur, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas, Venezuela. Over 35 days have passed with no new information regarding the whereabouts of 43 missing students in Mexico. Over 85 organizations will begin a massive protest march in Iguala in the state of Guerrero, where the students were attacked September 26 by police and masked gunmen. Authorities have found 60 mass graves, but so far none of the remains belong to the missing students. Today's rally is scheduled to end November 9th in Mexico City's downtown plaza known as the Zocalo. That's also where the presidential palace is located. There are also plans to take over municipal buildings throughout Guerrero, as protesters have done before. On Wednesday, over 85 universities have planned a national strike to protest state violence against students. Argentina President Cristina Fernandez was hospitalized again yesterday. According to a government statement, she was admitted to the Otamendi Hospital due to an infectious fever related to an illness that tends to last 2 to 9 days. Fernandez is 61 years old. In early 2012, she underwent surgery for thyroid carcinoma. A little over a year ago, the president underwent surgery for an intracranial hematoma. She was then off work for 6 weeks. Earlier last month, President Kirchner took 2 days off work due to a condition causing swelling of the throat. Uruguayan electoral authorities will publish the final results of the October 26 elections on Monday. According to preliminary information, the leftist Broad Front Party will hold 15 of the 30 seats in the Senate and 50 of the 99 chairs in Parliament. Newly elected officials will assume their positions on February 15th. Now, if the Broad Front Party's Tabaré Vázquez wins the runoff election as expected, it means that he will rule the country with a broad congressional majority. Vázquez won the first round of the presidential vote with over 47% of the votes. His closest rival, right-wing Luis Lacalle, garnered 31%. Both candidates renew campaigning this week, heading into the runoff election on November 30th. On Sunday, the self-proclaimed Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republic in eastern Ukraine held elections choosing the leaders of local governments and legislative representatives. According to preliminary results, independence leaders Alexander Zakharchenko and Igor Plotnitsky won the elections in Donetsk and Lugansk, respectively. They also won a majority in parliament. Kiev and several Western countries say they will not recognize the elections, calling them illegitimate. Russia has expressed its intention to recognize the vote, stating that refusal to do so would run counter to the Minsk Protocol and undermine efforts to reach a peace settlement in the country. Islamic State militants have killed at least 322 members of an Iraqi tribe in the western Anbar province, including dozens of women and children. In its first official confirmation, in the scale of the massacre, the government reports that many of the bodies were dumped in a well. The country's Ministry of Human Rights says that more than 50 bodies were found in a water well. 65 members of the Albu Nimbar tribe were kidnapped. In the latest attack Sunday morning, militants shot and killed at least 50 members of the Sunni tribe. A UN envoy called Sunday for a civilian transition in Burkina Faso after the ouster of President Blaise Compaoré. The UN threatens sanctions if the military remains in power in the West African country.
La CEDEAO et les Nations Unies sont prêtes à travailler avec toutes les parties prenantes.
The African Union, ECOWAS, and the United Nations are ready to work with all parties for a rapid return to constitutional rule. The missions encourage all parties taking part to respect human rights so that the management of the transition happens with respect to people's choice, and to this end ensure and guarantee the protection of the rights of all Bokanamis, including the members of government, National Assembly, and the former president.
Assurer et garantir la protection des droits de toutes les Burkinabés, y compris les membres du gouvernement.
The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has published its fifth and final report. It warns policymakers that time is running out to avoid a potential environmental catastrophe in the future. The report was released leading up to next year's climate change summit in Paris, where representatives are expected to debate a new global agreement on climate change.
Now, as it happens, the window of action is really closing very rapidly. So we have a very short window of opportunity. If you look at the total carbon budget to ensure that temperature increase by the end of this century will not exceed 2 degrees Celsius, we've already used up a substantial share of this. What's remaining for us is only 275 gigatons of carbon. So this clearly shows that we have a very limited window of opportunity, and I think the global community must look at these numbers and show the resolve by which we can bring about change.
The months-long $4 billion U.S. midterm election battle is set for Tuesday amid reports that President Barack Obama's Democratic Party faces a difficult electoral race. That's despite the fact that they have been trying to distance themselves from the White House to reduce the chances of losing the Senate. Some analysts believe that Republicans have the momentum and are expected to win a Senate majority that would put Obama's rivals in charge of both chambers of Congress. Now, according to a recent poll by NBC News, 46% of likely voters want the Republicans to control Congress, while 45% favor the Democrats. German Chancellor Angela Merkel says she would prefer the United Kingdom abandon the European Union if it insists on imposing immigration laws that limit those entering from other EU states. Both Merkel and the European Commission in Brussels say the move would violate a fundamental principle that allows citizens of the bloc to live and work in any member state. Merkel says she strongly backs continued British membership of the 28-nation bloc, but not at any price. And finally, in Chicago, over 10,000 people gathered to see daredevil Nick Wayenda break 2 world records. He did it with 2 high-wire walks between Chicago skyscrapers without a net or harness. He did the second walk, get this, blindfolded. The walk broke the world record for an incline high-wire walk. He went more than 2 city blocks uphill, rising at a 19-degree angle from the West Tower of the Medina City Towers to the Leo Burnett Building, more than 50 stories above Chicago River. Wayenda has also previously walked over the brink of Niagara Falls. Wayenda's great-grandfather, Carl Wayenda, fell to his death at age 73 from a high wire in Puerto Rico in 1973.
There are an awful lot of people down there, Nick, cheering for you. I know you can hear it.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing to hear that roar. It's pretty unreal. Pretty unreal. What an incredibly beautiful city at night Chicago is. Absolutely beautiful.
No, thank you. More on those stories and others at our website, telesurtv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Cody Weddle. Have a great day.